Hello my fellow Avengers, it's Scoo here, and today I'm taking a look at the 7-inch tall toy of the eagle-eyed Avenger, Hawkeye. This toy was released a few years ago by Diamond Select Toys, and it was sculpted by Jean St. John, a famous toy and collectible sculptor. And it depicts Hawkeye standing over what's called a slain robot foe, which kind of looks a lot like Ultron or one of Ultron's Sentinels. I'm assuming this might be inspired by the Age of Ultron comic or the Rage of Ultron comic, where Hawkeye took on Ultron or Ultron Sentinels, or possibly it's an amalgamation of many different comics come together into this one design. The sculpting of this figure is really excellent. Jean St. John, one of the best toy sculptors working in the business today. Looking at the face, it looks almost alive, doesn't it? The eyes look like they're looking right at you, and that is clearly Hawkeye. Hawkeye's always been known as an archer, and he's carrying a bow and arrow here. Unfortunately, the downside is that the bow is made of a very flimsy plastic. It's very weak. The drawstring on it, as you can see there at the top, is snapped off and had to be glued back on. And the arrow as well is made of a very thin plastic. It doesn't really fit in there. I've had to use a little bit of blue tack to hold it on. That's really disappointing. I mean, Hawkeye is known for his archery. He can strike a dynamic pose if it's done right, but in this case, that bow and that arrow, not so good. Another accessory he came with is his quiver. This one, unfortunately, has broken, so I've just got it strapped over the wall there, but you can put a couple of arrows in there. He comes with one normal arrow, and he also comes with an arrow with a little tiny wasp on top of there. Comic book fans will know that Hawkeye and Wasp actually had a on and off again relationship, and there's been some stories in the comics where Hawkeye has fired Ant-Man from his bow and arrow, things like that, and he did that in the movies too, so that's the tie-in there. Looking at the base separately, you can see the slain robot foe there on the ground, a damaged robot. He's got some arrows in him, but basically he's lying there in a pile of rubble. That's the diorama piece on its own, as you can see. None of that moves, it's solid. It has a little peg there where Hawkeye can stand, and then from there you've got the Hawkeye toy on top of that. And here's the Hawkeye toy on its own, a standard Diamond Select Marvel figure, basically 7 inches tall, 16 points of articulation, all of the modern articulation, fairly standard, but you know, it's what you've come to expect. Why I got this figure was because I've always loved Hawkeye. I mean, when I was a kid, I always used to read the West Coast Avengers comics, and Hawkeye stuck out for me. He's a sort of smart aleck, lone wolf character. The fact he's got a bow and arrow is just crazy. He's just a guy who goes off on his own, does his own thing, and he's a bit of a smart mouth. I always liked him, and it was this particular comic with this artwork on the cover, as you can see here, that really caught my attention as a kid. This cover is amazing. Hawkeye looks badass in it, and I just saw that and I thought, man, this guy is cool. And for years and years, he's been a really important character to me, and I'm glad that they, have incorporated him into the new movies. I'd like to see him expanded on even further and give him a purple costume. Come on, do it. Who's your favorite Marvel character? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel. I've been Scoo. I'm out of here.